Hey everybody, welcome back to TechOdyssey. So I'm taking a look back at the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 and how it holds up. It's been out for a while now. We're coming up to the 1 year mark, so it's a good time to take a look at it again because there's lots of great stuff about this phone. This phone really took things to the next level in the average consumer market. Don't be offended if I call you an average consumer. The first two generations of the phone, the Flip and the Fold, really were more of an enthusiast and a techie device. And I feel like now they really brought the price down a lot. I think consumer confidence is up, seeing that it's the third generation that's out. And they made a lot of improvements to make it look a lot nicer and add a little bit more stuff in there to make it more consumer friendly as opposed to just being a foldable screen flip phone. So I think there's a great place for these in the market. And as much as we talk about how pedestrian it is out in the phone world now, meaning very uneventful, very uninspiring, so many of the same phones over and over and over, this gives you an opportunity to do something else with your time and your money and to enjoy the benefits of getting to flip open and flip closed a phone all the time. And some of you may appreciate that, some of you may not appreciate that. That's why there's so many phones for so many folks. So looking at this a lot later, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. At the forefront of probably everybody's conversation is battery. And the battery still is basically, it's the Achilles heel of this phone. That's not meaning that it's a bad battery though. Now here's what we're talking about. I average about 4 hours of screen on time on this phone, a little over 4 hours. I think that that's fine, and for most people, it's going to get you through the day. So for somebody like me, who's a power user, uses the phone heavily, yeah, it's dead by dinner time. I call this a sun up to sundown phone. That's a thing that I've kind of coined when it comes to this phone, a phrase, if you will. You take it off the charger in the morning, it's good till you get home from work, it's good till the sun goes down, and then you need to put it on the charger. That's kind of how my experience has been. But for somebody who doesn't use their phone as heavily as me, if you watch my previous video, which you can find right here, talking about ways that you can get better battery life, then certainly you can squeeze out more battery life. You can turn off the 120 hertz refresh rate, you can put it on dark mode, you can do some adaptive stuff with the apps. There are things that you can do to make the battery life last longer. But of course, somebody like me, and even maybe somebody like you watching this video, you want to enjoy it and appreciate it the way it was designed, and that is to give you the high quality 120 hertz refresh rate with the screen. And I totally love that. I was amazed when this phone came out because I previously had the Z Flip, the Z Flip 5G. I have loved the Z Flip phone since it has come out. It's been a really great phone. I was kind of against it before it came out because of the price tag and some other things, but I definitely wasn't as against it as I was the Motorola Razr phone. I had kind of some negative feelings towards the first Razr because I felt like they were really not putting enough in there to justify the price tag. And then the price tag was a lot. We're talking $1380 for the original Z Flip, then $1449 for the Z Flip 5G, and then this baby came in at $999, and that one completely threw me off guard. So $999, they made a bigger display on the outside, which was something that I said they needed to do. They brought stereo speakers, also something I thought they needed to do. And then they added the 120 hertz refresh rate, also IPX8. So there's a lot of cool things they did here. Beautiful screen. It has great haptics, especially for a essentially kind of a plastic screen. I mean, it has the ultra thin glass, and it's better than the previous versions of the ultra thin glass, but essentially it still really feels like a plastic screen. The phone itself, performance is solid. I think the cameras are good. It's one of those things where you get a lot of elite tech enthusiasts that say the cameras aren't good enough. I did a whole review on it, which you can find right here, and I took a lot of pictures. They're very capable, very complimentary cameras. This phone is not supposed to be the end-all be-all for people pushing the envelope and on the bleeding edge of tech when it comes to tech enthusiasts. More so, I think people like that, and typically people like me, would want to get something more like the Fold that has a little bit more to offer in that department. This one was very much designed to be a consumer-friendly, appeals to a wider base of people. It's a more familiar form factor, and they brought the price down a lot. And at $999, it's one of those things where yes, it is expensive, but it's not expensive when you talk about it because it's a Samsung. And what I mean by that? Well, Samsung always finds a way to get their phones in people's pockets. So if you've got an older phone you could trade in, they had a bunch of crazy trade-in deals. They had some amazing trade-in deals even with broken screens this last week for Memorial Day. So Samsung wants you to have their phone. So they do lots of crazy stuff. I like to call them the new LG. And hopefully this doesn't cause the downfall of Samsung, because LG used to give you everything. They'd give you a free TV and buy one, get one free with their phone just to get you to buy one. Nowadays, when they first came out, they had the extra credit for reserving it, extra pre-order credit, extra trade-in credit. You could trade in up to 3 phones. There were so many crazy things they were doing to try and get this phone in people's pockets. So I think it worked. And I think the popular sentiment is a lot of people are flipping crazy about the Z Flip 3. This phone, probably the best upgrade. And it kind of irked me last year because even watching the award show for MKBHD, he was talking about most improved phones of 2021. And I think that this right here was the most improved phone of last year. They added water resistance. They added a stereo speaker. They added, of course, they had 5G already, but they gave the new processor, a flagship Snapdragon 888, 120 hertz refresh rate, a more improved screen, a smaller, reduced form factor on the hinge. There were so many things that they did to this phone, even the exterior display everybody was clamoring about. I thought it was the most improved phone of last year. And I still do. I think they made so many upgrades. When you look at the original Z Fold to the Z Fold 2, huge upgrade. Then you went from the Z Flip to the Z Flip 5G. It was essentially the same phone. They just put a newer processor in 5G, and that was about it. And this guy, or gal, whichever you prefer to call it, just made so many tremendous upgrades. And I think it's a great phone. Even now, as we're almost a year old, it may even be the best time for somebody to buy one if you can get a good incentive, and the used prices are crazy. This thing is depreciated in value so much. Another byproduct of Samsung giving you the moon when they hand you the phone. People buy these things, and there's so many trade-ins and incentives and deals and extra stuff. By the time somebody turns around and sells one on the market, the price drops significantly, and that's another thing that you get with Samsung. But the phone, the hinges held up well. The screen is held up well. I'm still using my original screen protector on here, and this right here is going on, I guess, what are we, 8 or 9 months now? It's been around for a long time. Now, if you use this as a daily driver, it's probably something that at some point in time you're going to have to replace the screen protector. Yours may not look as good as mine, and that's okay because you can replace the screen protector on it. That's totally fine. You can go to Samsung and have them do it. If you don't trust yourself to do it, you can go to a Samsung Experience store and they can do it there for you. Of course, you got to pay for it. But the phone itself, performance-wise, Snapdragon 888, it's held up really well. Of course, it does heat up when you do stuff like GPS or if you do video calls for a long time, I found. I was using, what was it? That thing everybody talked about for a while, Clubhouse. The Clubhouse app. That would make my phone get really hot. Even Twitter Spaces, that would make my phone get really hot too, and the battery would just go. So this thing right here, everything on it is subject to the battery life. Now, for normal people, it's going to last you all day. And I think that that's probably fine. The 3300 milliamp battery, there's only so much juice you can squeeze out of it. It's not like an iPhone. So you get the iPhone SE 2022 with a 2000 milliamp battery, gets better battery life than this, and this one has 3300 milliamps. So that's basically 40% larger battery. Wow, I just actually checked my math, and my math was spot on. It was exactly 40%. So, man, I'm on tonight. Anyway, yeah, so the phone itself, I think is worth the money. I think if you can get one, definitely get it on a deal. Definitely check out Samsung. They have good trade-in deal stuff. The power, the processor, all that good stuff. The Snapdragon 888 holds up well. You can do anything you want. I've even got the new Diablo game on here. Playing the Diablo game, you can play Apex, you can play Fortnite. You can play whatever you want. And that's the beauty of this phone. There's no performance compromises. And that's what I love so much about the Z Flip as opposed to the Razr. The Razr made a lot of compromises in the hardware department, and I think that was in pursuit of better battery life. But ultimately, as I used the Motorola Razr 5G, it didn't really get any better battery life than this one. So I don't think they made the right move there. But again, maybe if they put a Snapdragon 888 in theirs or an 865 Plus, the battery life would have been even worse. So this one, basically, Samsung spared no expense. They put everything in here. There was no compromises on performance, but that also led to less than ideal battery life, and they didn't put the latest and greatest cameras in there. Yeah, it would be nice if we had better cameras, but I think we're probably going to see that with the Z Flip 4. The whole purpose of the Z Flip 3 was to get it out into consumer hands, and they had to lower the price to do that. There's not a lot of people that are just trying to go throw their money at the door of AT&T, Best Buy, and wherever else to get a $1,400, $1,500 phone. So by lowering it to $999, they made it much more attainable. They added all these cool consumer-friendly colors to make them look better, more customizable. And I think that that was the right play. And I think that history in the rearview mirror will see that they did a good job with it. But if you're talking about getting one from a day-to-day performance, the cameras are good. The cameras have held up well. And also, it's a really enjoyable experience for multimedia because you get the stereo speakers. that was one of the huge things that I wanted them to upgrade with this phone, because with the Z Flip 5G, the single speaker, okay, yeah, it's fine, but with a $1,500 phone, you need more than that. And I was happy to see they thinned it down. They made it look more attractive from a curb appeal perspective. The stereo speakers were a big improvement for me. So I love the stereo speakers. I love it has the water resistance. Thankfully, I don't take mine anywhere near water. I haven't dropped it in the water, so I haven't tested that. I would encourage you to do the same. But if you do accidentally drop it in the water, it's not going to fry the phone. It'll be perfectly fine. Charging speeds, that could have been better. Again, it's not the end of the world because the phone only has a 3,300 milliamp battery. So not a big battery, 15 watts recharging speed, not the end of the world. It even has reverse wireless power share if you want to take some of your valuable lifeblood from this phone and try and give it to something else. If you're going to do that though, it probably ought to just be some earbuds just to top it off so you can get home, because you don't have a lot of battery to spare with this phone. The screen is beautiful. It's gorgeous. 6.7 inch, 1080p, full HD plus, HDR10 plus, and 1200 nits brightness. That's better than a lot of flagship phones that even come out nowadays. So I think that they really push the envelope there. Samsung, their biggest strong suit is displays. They make the best displays in the business, the best looking ones. So I was happy to see that they pushed the envelope. Best possible screen I think they could have put in here. And I would like to see Quad HD plus, but that's another thing. It does eat up more battery, uses up more resources. So to have a 1080p plus screen, I think was a fair compromise for this phone. And most people who are just normal everyday consumers who want to try something cool, like a phone that does this, where you can flip it, you can open it up. I wouldn't do that barehanded though. Like, there we go. I just had to do it for the video. Normally I have a case, but the phone is a little on the slick side if you don't have a case. It actually holds up really well to opening it up just like that. Now, I'm wary about that, but my hinges actually held up really well. I don't do that a whole lot, but you totally can if you want. And then you also get the exterior display, which I love for notifications. You can do some basic controls on there. Hugely improved over the Z Flip 5G and the Z Flip. And you can, of course, you've got some of the implementations on here. You can do stuff like change your songs, moving back and forth. You can see what the time is. You can get notifications when it pops up. It's hugely helpful, and it also helps save on battery, because if you can get information from your phone at a glance without having to open it up and turn the screen on, that's going to save you battery throughout the day. Also, there's lots of different accessories, which of course are cheaper now because it's been out for a while. So overall, I would have to say the phone has held up well. I think that the battery life is good enough for most people when it comes to this phone. It's not a power user phone. It never has been, and I've been saying that from day one. But hey, if you want to charge it up here and there, use it for some gaming, you totally can. Just make sure you're near a power source, because you're not going to be able to game or use your phone very long if you do that. Also, there's no DeX. I wish they would have put DeX in here. I know there are a lot of people that really have been kind of upset about that. Maybe we'll get it with the Z Flip 4. I haven't seen anything in the rumors about that yet, but it would be really nice. And of course, there's no expandable storage, no SD card, there's no headphone jack on here, things that I know that do disappoint people. But taking a look at how well it's held up, which I think a lot of people are very concerned about, and my hinge is also fine too. Now, maybe for somebody using this phone for 8 months straight, because y'all guys know, if you follow my channel, I cover a lot of phones. I can't always have my SIM card in this phone using it all the time. I'm continually cycling out, so I come back to it whenever I can, because I love this phone. This phone is fun. And I think you can see, if you watch even other reviewers' videos, they love the fun factor. They love that it's new, it's exciting, it's something different than the typical everyday phones that we're carrying around that really haven't changed much. This gives some excitement, and it takes something that's new and kind of emerging in the tech world and puts it in everyday users' pockets, because they were able to make a lot of improvements, build the consumer confidence, lower the price point. And I think we'll see more of that with the Z Flip 4, but if you're not somebody who likes to chase specs and doesn't want the latest, greatest at the end of the rainbow, then this right here, taking a look at it in 2022 now, as we're coming up to the year mark, may be a good buy now, that you can get it tremendously cheaper than when it came out. That's, as the new one comes out too, you'll be able to find these a lot cheaper, because when the new one comes out, or they get ready for the new one, expect some sales, and you'll probably see some more sales. We just had a big one for Memorial Day. So, love the phone. I think that other than the battery life, and also some things they can improve on the tech enthusiast side, but for normal everyday people, it's about as good as it gets in the flip and foldable world. And I think that by and large, people that have used it have been very happy. The only complaints that I've heard, or that I have, really is the battery life. And that's something that I hope to see us improve with the Z Flip 4. I can only cross my fingers and really hope so. But that's all I got. Great phone. Totally love it. It's been one of the best phones I've used in the last couple of years, and it's really brought a lot of fun and enthusiasm back to the experience of using a phone, because phones used to be so cool, and now it's one of those things where it's such an extension of our day-to-day life and nothing has changed fundamentally over the last few years. They just feel, I hate to say it, boring. But for those of us who love tech, this right here is a really exciting piece of tech. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please go down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and a little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And if you've had one of these things for a while, I would love for you to share your experience. Sound off in the comments. We can talk about that as well. So thanks for being here. It's really early in the morning on Saturday right now, so I hope you'll have a wonderful weekend. If you watch this later, I hope your life is great. I hope you have a wonderful week and everything is going well for you and you can enjoy your phones as much as we do. So see you guys next time.